Alright guys, in this video we will be creating a nice stunning neon effect in Photoshop. Let's get started. So here on the canvas you can see I have this image I downloaded from Pexels. The first thing I'll have to do is to correct this image because it looks blurry. So I'll go to image and then choose auto tone. Now that I have the image corrected, I have to make the background blurry. So the way to do that is actually to cut this lady from this image and jump her onto another layer. Normally we would use the automatic selection tools in Photoshop to do this, but I noticed that if I zoom to the portion of the head right here, we might have some difficulty selecting this portion. So that is why I prefer to use the pen tool. So I'm just going to go to my toolbar and select the pen tool from here. And guys, this is not a detailed tutorial about the pen tool, as I'm just going to fast forward everything. If you are new to the pen tool or you need a quick refresher, I have made a video which I will link in the description of this one so you can check it out. So I'm just going to trace all around this image so that we can be precise and then jump the lady onto another layer. Alright, after cutting the lady from the background, I will now go to the paths panel, which is open right here, and then I'll hold down the control or the command key. The reason I'm holding that is to click on this little thumbnail so that I can load it as a selection, just like that. Then I have to return to the layers panel, and since I need to jump this selection onto a new layer, I'll press Ctrl Alt and J to jump that selection. The reason I'm holding Alt is so that I can be able to rename the new layer. So I will call this new layer girl and hit the OK button. Right now I'm going to disable the girl layer for a moment, as I need to adjust the background and make it really dark so that it should not interfere with the girl layer. So the first thing I'm going to do will be to add some adjustment layers to the background image. The first adjustment layer I will add is brightness and contrast. I will adjust the brightness to -25, and then I'll take the contrast to 43. Then to make sure it only affects the background, I'll click this button to add a clipping mask. Now let us again add the hue saturation adjustment layer, because I actually need to make the background really darker. So let us hit the colorize check mark, and then for the hue, saturation and lightness, we have some values to input here. So for the hue, you can enter 239, and then for the saturation, you can enter a value of 17, and for the lightness, I will enter -82. Again, let us make sure it affects only the layer below it, so we click here to add a clipping mask. Now with the hue saturation layer selected, I'm going to hold the shift key and then select the background image. Then I'm going to press Ctrl G to group them. Now let us enable the layer above it, which is this layer right here. Now you can clearly see that because I jumped the image without changing the position, it maintains the position of the lady on the image that was there previously. So what we have to do now is to make sure that this image matches the background, as it is too white. In my opinion, it is too bright. So let's go to adjustment layer, and the first adjustment I will add there is the photo filter. So to ensure that this photo filter affects just the layer with the girl, let us click here to add a clipping mask and then take up the percentage value to 45. Again, let us go to the adjustment layers and add the levels adjustment layer. Then the only thing we need to do here is adjust the output levels. Let's allow the first output level here to 0, and for the second output level, let us change it to 185. Now to me the image looks balanced. Alright, again let us select these 3 layers and press Ctrl G to group them. So we have group 1 and group 2. Now we are going to use the pen tool to trace a path around the image so that later on we will be able to add a glow effect to it. So I'll take the pen tool and I'll click somewhere like here. Now that we have this nice shape path, let us go now to the shape 1 layer and then go to effects and then let us choose outer glow. Now we have some settings here to adjust. First, let us change the blending mode to screen and then let's take the opacity up to 100. Then let us click on this color icon right here to pick a nice pink color. Under technique, let us change it to softer. Let us adjust the spread value to 38 and then the size to 43. Then let us make sure this check mark is turned on, and for the range, let us take the range up to 100 and then let's say OK. Now you can see the effects icon right beside here to show that an effect has been added to this shape layer. You can click the up pointing arrow here to collapse that effect like so. Now with the shape 1 layer selected, let us add a mask by clicking on this camera icon and making sure the mask is selected. Let us also make sure that our foreground color is black. Let us now press the B key to switch to the brush tool. Under the brush settings, let us make sure that the size is 40 pixels and the hardness of 100%. On the options bar, also make sure that the opacity of the brush and the flow equals to 100%. Then what is left to do now is for us to zoom in and paint the portion we don't need. Notice that here on the layers panel, I have my white mark selected. So I'll paint with black to hide all the details that I need to hide. Just like that. Nice. It now looks like we have this glow effect wrapping all around the lady. The next thing I have to do is to go to my custom shapes and draw this heart shape which I imported from the internet. I am going to change the fill of the heart shape to white and I'll change the stroke to no stroke. Then with the move tool, I'm just going to move the heart icon right here. Then let us go to the heart layer and then we select it, then go to effects and then let us choose outer glow one more time. This time it tries to imitate the settings we had previously, so I'm just going to reset to default by clicking on this button right here. And first I'll start by setting the blend mode to screen and then the opacity I'll take it up to 100. And then let us click on this button to pick a pink color. Let's change the technique to softer and then adjust the spread and size value to 19 and 250 respectively. Then under the range, let us take it way up to 100. When you are done, click OK. Now the glow effect around the heart icon looks very nice, but it is not intense enough. So what I will do will be to duplicate this layer in order to add that effect. So with the heart layer selected, I'm going to press Ctrl J this time to add a copy. And you can see the effect right there on the screen. Now let us select all these 3 layers and press Ctrl G to group them. If we look on the layers panel, we have group 1, group 2 and group 3, so we stay organized. Let us now select all these groups and then we right click on an empty portion and choose convert to smart object. Now the next thing we have to do is to crop this image. So I will select the crop tool and then under the type I will click on this pull down menu and choose 16:9 aspect ratio. Then you can just click on these handles to drag them up and down to match the image you are currently working on. Somewhere around this portion looks nice to me, so I'm going to release there. And before I hit the check mark, I have to make sure delete crop pixels is turned on. Now the next thing we have to do is to add a nice complementary black background. Let us go to the layers panel and then let us add a new layer down, a group 3. And since we have our foreground color set to black, to fill this new layer, I will just press Alt backspace and we have this nice effect right here. If we switch to this new document which I prepared in advance, you can see I already have an image with the same aspect ratio cropped. So with my move tool, I'm just going to select the image, pull it up and hover to this tab with the previous document, and then I release inside here. Now let us position the image very well, and since it is a smart object, it means we can scale it up and down without any loss of pixels. If you don't know what smart objects are, I've also made a video about smart objects, so you can check the link down in the video description. So I'll click from this corner and then scale it up like so. Right now this image seems to cover everything on the screen. That is not what we want, right? So I'm going to select the layer 2, which is the city layer, drag it right below the black layer. Now to make the city layer transparent, even though the black layer is on top of it, I will select the black layer, go to blending mode and then choose overlay. That will produce this nice dark effect right here. I really think these are the kind of cool effects you will be doing with Photoshop when you are learning the program, playing and having fun with it. It's really nice. Thank you very much for following along. If you got value out of this video, please kindly subscribe to this channel and hit the like button. I will see you tomorrow for another update.